Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we talk Erik ten Hag's injury, rotation, squad, frustration as more players stay away from the first team, not willingly, we're not saying they're on strike, and Ten Hag therefore has to go with what he's got into very important games for Manchester United, as we know. But first thing, I want to just start off, actually, I'm just going to say this straight away. I don't know whether you saw it today, that Manchester United have been hit by an FA charge in relation to not controlling their players properly after the goal that got disallowed at the weekend. This is the goal that Ronaldo took, where effectively, I think Ronaldo thought that the Newcastle player had taken the touch on the free kick and Ronaldo went and scored the goal. Manchester United players crowded the referee saying he should give the goal, and ultimately he didn't give the goal, and Manchester United have been hit with an FA charge. I just want to say, you know, these sort of things massively frustrate me. I think it's an absolute joke. This is the same FA that appointed Gareth Southgate, so that just basically tells you what level of prats we've got working at the FA. And it's just, you know, FA stands for something. They know FA, sweet FA. And we all know what FA stands for in that. They're just an embarrassment as an organisation. They are absolutely embarrassing. They are so arrogant. They are so arrogant and sanctimonious. And, you know, pull the ladder up, Jack, and sod the rest. They think they're better than everybody. They're arrogant. Oh, you're not crowding our referee. We're going to hit you with an FA charge. How about hitting the referee with a fucking charge and kicking him down to the bloody League One? He's a bloody crap referee. Crap Craig. That's what he is. Pawson's rubbish. Why are Man United players getting hit with a charge? He should be hit with a charge. He should be hit with a fraud charge. He should be going to court. That wasn't refereeing. That was frauding. That was fraudulent on Sunday. Maybe Newcastle should have had a penalty. We should have had two. And we're getting a bloody charge. It's the same old shit. I've seen it all my life from the FA. They always do this. We're better than you. Don't you dare try and do anything against us. We're going to charge you because we're in charge. We're the authority here. Nonsense. What an absolute nonsense. Where's the accountability? Where's the accountability for the FA? Where's the accountability for these referees? This has been going on all my life. All my life I've seen referees and referees underperforming, and managers and players and clubs being hit with charges. When's the accountability of the FA going to be tested? Because they're not fit for purpose. And I know it's only a minor thing for some people, but all my life and all your life for many of you, those of us who are a little bit older, the FA have been doing this since the 80s. They've probably been doing it since the 70s, coming out with ridiculous charges and not actually solving the problem. And the problem is their own bloody incompetence. When are the referees going to be held accountable? When are we going to get to hear from these referees? When are we just going to... I'm fed up of seeing these referees just going, no, yellow card. I'm going to tell the FA on you. Tell the teacher. You're going to tell the teacher. You're going to get us a detention. Swivel on it. I'm fed up of it. I am fed up of it. And I you know what? Do what you like with your FA charge. It's a load of nonsense. You're telling me that players can't go up to a referee and say, you're bloody useless at your job, mate. You've lost control. Absolutely incompetent. He blew that whistle on Sunday. He blew it. Now, I don't think the goal should have been given because, you know what? Common sense, okay, you don't want to see goals scored like that. But he blew his bloody whistle. He's the prat. He caused it. He caused it. You know what? If you're going to work tomorrow and you kick an old person up the bottom and then somebody grabs you and pins you up against the wall and says you're a bloody idiot, you can't get the police to come talk to you. You've kicked the old person up the bum. He blew his whistle. I know it's very different, but it's still the same. It's a nonsense. I really do think that FA charge is a joke, an absolute joke. You're charging players for behaving, angrily because a referee is crap at his job. Nonsense, absolute nonsense. But it just keeps happening. And what I want to know is, what's Manchester United's recourse? How do Manchester United come back for this FA charge? How do they appeal it? You know, where is the governing body that actually runs football? Oh, I forgot, it's the FA. Joke, absolute joke. If it was any other club, they wouldn't charge them. Just United, always. Same with Ronaldo being charged over smashing that revolting phone. So Sky Girl, Glazers and Southgate out. And Geordie, what are you doing on here? Geordie Toon for life. Can't you read, mates? Geordie Toon for life is sticking his bloody nose in a beehive going, it wasn't a free kick. You know, what did you type into YouTube to come here? Why are you here? The United stand. Manchester United fan channel. What are you doing on here? Go away with your billions. You jammy gets. You shouldn't have even got a point and you know it. Take your point and go and play with it. Bloody Geordie Toon for life. What are you doing on here? Sticking up for Pawson. You should have had a bloody penalty as well. Coming on here, sticking up for an incompetent referee because you got a bloody point. You should have had a penalty as well. We should have had 2. Anyway, let's move on. I'm not in a great mood tonight because I'm fed up with these stupid charges that just keep coming up, and I agree. I think it is because it's Manchester United. Glenn says, I bet the FA would have banned Ronaldo for 6 months by now if he was scoring loads of goals, as they seem to do things for effect. And you know what, as well, I agree with Ten Hag. I don't think the players acted badly. I was watching that, as many of you were. I don't think Man United players acted badly. You know what was bad? Was when that referee, was it Andy D'Urso, all those years ago, gave a penalty against Roy Keane and he looked like he was going to rip his head off with the Yap Stam. Beckham was there, the lot of them. Now, that maybe did deserve an FA charge, but I mean, come on. Oh, Bruno was getting really angry, and I could see by the look in Luke Shaw's eyes, he was getting really aggressive. He was licking his lips at me. I don't know what to do. And then Ronaldo was there, and he looked a little bit disappointed. I've never been so intimidated in all my life. I didn't know what to do. Don't worry, Craig. We'll hit him with an FA charge. You shouldn't have to go through that. Even though you're an incompetent referee, you shouldn't have players questioning your decision, Craig. I mean, who do these players think they are? Professional footballers playing at the highest level, expecting competence. Who do they think they are? So, yeah, I don't know. But as I said, I thought the FA charge was a disgrace because I really didn't notice anything that was particularly aggressive from United anyway. Anyway, look, we'll move on. I've got it off my chest now. I'm just fed up with incompetence. I've never known such level of incompetence in any area that I've worked, and where there has been that, it gets dealt with. You get suspended, you get kicked out, you get made redundant. You know, the law changes, but not in football. All my life I've had this. FA charges being handed out and they never look at why. What they never do is they go, oh, we don't like the way those United players are crowding the referee. Why are they crowding the referee? Why are they crowding the referee? You know? But what did they expect? I don't get it. Did the referee expect an applause? No one even touched him. Man United is the most hated team on earth, says Mario. Oh, exactly. Absolutely, exactly. If a referee makes a bad decision, what do they think the players are going to do? Well done, you're trying your best. Well done, you're trying your best. 75,000 fans. Don't worry, I've spent loads of money. I've driven up the M6. I've come over on a plane. Don't worry that you're shit. We're all trying our best here. A little bit of competence. Are you scared about Maguire coming back from injury? I don't want him near the first team, says Sirven. Well, let's move on. So, Ten Hag's injury frustration. We have had some updates today. I'm sure you watched the press conference reaction with Adam. But, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit disappointing, isn't it? Martial's not available for this game. So, again, it's like, oh, it's so bloody frustrating. And Eriksen's back in training after illness. He may well be available tomorrow. We know we've got McTominay back. I mean, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. It's like your neighbour coming back who you don't like from holiday, isn't it? It's nice that they're back, but you know. Anyway, but the point is, we have got the midfield will be better, and I'd rather McTominay play over Fred. But it's Martial we need back, and yet again, it's another bloody game where he's not fit. I mean, Martial's been fit for I think 1.5 games. And this is game 10. It's absolutely appalling. And you know what? The frustrating thing is, and I don't blame Ten Hag on this, but Ten Hag did say before the game, before the Newcastle on the Friday, he said there was hope that Martial would be back for that game. Not back for that, not back for this. You know why he's not back? Because he's fucking injury prone. It does my head in. It's not his fault. It's not our fault. It's not the manager's fault. But he's injury prone. You cannot rely on Martial on it. And it really frustrates me because we really need him, but you can't rely on him. You never know from game to game whether he's going to be fit. And now, I mean, is he going to be back for the Chelsea game? Would you start him in the Chelsea game when he's not played the last 3 games again? Does he go on the bench? It's just you can't build a future when you've got players like this. It's massively frustrating. And it must be really frustrating for Ten Hag because most people had written Martial off. Most of the fan base had written him off, to be honest. And Martial goes on pre-season tour. Ten Hag gets the best out of him and thinks, you know what, this is going to be the player that I'm going to get a lot out. And people are going to go, wow, what a great coach. He can't even get bloody fit to start a game of football this season. It's so frustrating because I think Ten Hag really would have gone with Martial and he can't do it. Maybe the FA should charge the ref for the wink winding up the crowd, incitement, says Glenn. Well, I've not seen that, but if he did do that, then where's the charge for that? It's a bloody great point from Glenn. I don't know how true it is, but a few people said that when Craig Pawson was walking off the pitch on Sunday, he winked at the crowd who were having a go at him. Wow, but don't forget what the FA will do. Craig, well, maybe he shouldn't have done that, but the crowd was having a go at him. Oh, hold on a minute. So it's double standards now, is it? Craig Pawson can wink and wind up the United fans who are having a go at him, but United players can't have a go at the ref because he's made a mistake. You know, it's double standards as usual. Tony's made of marshmallows, says Ray, and these refs are ruining games, Mark. They're so inconsistent with decisions. Something needs to be done. Also, did you ever see the tackle? Says Adam. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. There is a video of the wink, says Immersive. Well, it's just bloody, it's completely and utter contradiction, isn't it? Because if the fans act badly if the players act badly to a bad decision by that referee, those players get an FA charge. But if the referee reacts to the crowd, nothing happens. So you're charging the players for reacting to the referee, but you're not charging the referee for reacting to the fans. Double standards. This is what I mean. They're so contradictory. They're so insular and arrogant. Fred should be dropped. When are we going to see through balls, says Krishna. So yeah, look, going back to the injury side of things, Martial not available tomorrow night, and I think this is a big shame. It doesn't necessarily mean Ronaldo's going to start, you know. He might put Rashford through the middle. I mean, I think Ronaldo's got to start, but he might put Rashford through the middle, which would be catastrophic. I think if you put Rashford through the middle against the back five, I think it won't work. But he might do that. But it's massively disappointing that we don't have the Martial option, isn't it? And Ten Hag did talk about Ronaldo and basically said, what is it he said? He's got to convince me to stay on. We spoke about this last night. I don't really get what Ten Hag's on about. He's got to convince me to stay on. I mean, he should have stayed on because you would have won the game, mate. The cross that Rashford had, if Ronaldo's on the pitch, he wins the other game there. So convince you to stay on with no service. But you know, we're not going to go down that road again. But you know, I'll pull out the stats if you want to. We don't create chances for our strikers. We don't put crosses into the box for our strikers. So convince me to stay on how? How can any striker convince you to stay on when they get no service? That's what I find quite odd about that. So I think Ronaldo has to start against Spurs, especially with Martial out, but he might go with Rashford. Shouldn't Martial's injury issues strengthen Ten Hag's argument for the board to buy a striker in January, says Stephen. We should have had a striker in the summer, Stephen. Yeah, we should have had a striker in the summer. I find it baffling that we didn't do it. Because why always play 4-3-3 all the time? Why not try 4-1-3-2 with one fast attacker and one hold-up striker to make the defence unsure, says Frederick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I want Eric Ten Hag to start changing formations from what it is that ultimately he wants to do, which will always be a flat back four, two wide players, one forward, and then the midfield made up however you want it to be made. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Ten Hag would want to play a front two. It would be the answer to that. But look, in relation to the other injuries, Martial's out of the Spurs game. Eriksen went back to training today after illness, so should be available. Maguire and Van der Beek are back in training this week. Twansebi apparently isn't going to be back till January. Williams is back training, but we're not ready for games. So Donny and Maguire coming back at least gives us a couple of players. I mean, God knows what Wan-Bissaka and Phil Jones are doing. They may as well be driving across America doing Phil and Aaron travelling across America for Amazon Prime, because God knows what their fitness levels are. And to be honest with you, I mean, Wan-Bissaka would be quite useful to have as an option at right back. But yeah, I mean, look, hopefully Donny and Maguire can get themselves back fit. But I don't get I don't like the lack of options we've got up front, and I don't think anybody does. And it's interesting because I was listening to Ten Hag today, and he was talking about rotation, and he was talking about how important it is to have rotation because teams are starting to pick up the injuries now. And I don't really see a lot of rotation options for Manchester United. We spoke about it before the season started. Some people got it, some people didn't. But I remember having the chat about how wafer thin we are up front, because basically you've got Anthony who plays on the right. That's it. I mean, you can say Alanga. We don't really have a right winger other than Anthony. On the left-hand side, you've got Sancho and Rashford, but Rashford's also doing a shift up front, so we're weak there. Again, you've got the Alanga option, but it depends what you think of Alanga's readiness. And they've got Ronaldo, because Martial's never fit. So we are ridiculously weak up front. We don't have enough options, and I don't think Charlie McNeil's playing for the under-21s tonight. So unless he's got an injury, maybe he's going to be on the bench tomorrow. But a club the size of Manchester United shouldn't be so limited in its options to score goals. Traditionally, the striker, the goal scorer, is the most valuable person on the pitch, and Man United have just left themselves ridiculously short, and I don't really understand why. And I think there's so much contradiction about what Manchester United did in the summer, but ultimately we can't score goals. We don't create chances, and we can't score goals anyway. What is the plan going to be to win key games? And I'm really looking forward to the game tomorrow night against Spurs. Really looking forward to the watch along. Really looking forward to the Chelsea game. But they're two very pivotal games, because they're two games against teams that I believe are better equipped than us at this moment in time to finish in the top four. And let's not forget, Spurs and Chelsea, all right, you can throw Liverpool into the equation, but Spurs and Chelsea, for me, are the third and fourth best teams in the Premier League at the moment. The top two are Arsenal and Man City. We're never getting anywhere near them. So these are two games against two teams that, there are still a lot of you who think we can get top four. Well, if we want top four, when are we going to go and get it? When are we going to go and get it, people? At what point are we going to go and get top four? Because you've got to do it in the next two games. We've got, and the thing is, we've got nobody to come back. Like, people keep saying, well, there's nobody to come back. You look at the team tomorrow. Maguire and Donny aren't first team players, so don't talk about that. The only player we've got to come back is Anthony Martial. And if we're going, Martial's going to make the difference, well, this is a player that most of you wanted to sell in the summer who can't stay fit. So we talk about the weakness of the squad in relation to squad depth, which is absolutely true. But we're not actually missing anybody. Tomorrow night, you've got Ronaldo, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno. You've got all the players that we currently have. But it exposes how we are ridiculously short, because Maguire, Donny van der Beek, Anthony Martial, they're not really players that you go, ooh, we've really missed them. We might do. They might come back and do a job. But yeah, this squad is ridiculously thin. Why do we play Ronaldo with two inverted wingers? Isn't the same problem we had with Rashford and the other guy with Ronaldo, says YUFC. Inverted wingers can make a difference. Inverted wingers can put crosses into the box. I think it's a bit of a myth that inverted wingers can't. Anthony was putting crosses into the box for Ajax last year for Sebastian Haller. You can put crosses into the box. Manchester City tend to play with inverted wingers. What did I say last night? We're putting in 12 crosses per 90 with an accuracy of about 28%. Man City are putting 20 crosses in per 90 with an accuracy of nearly 40%. But Man City play with inverted wingers a lot of the time. So you can... Inverted wingers is not why we're not putting crosses into the box. We're not putting crosses into the box because our fullbacks don't overlap to put crosses in, and our inverted wingers don't put them in very well either. So it's a style of play for Ten Hag to resolve, but it's going to be massively interesting the next two games, isn't it? It really will be. We've missed Martial, says Avery. Look, I'm a big fan of Martial, as anybody will know. I've been doing this channel for years, and for most of them, Martial's been one of my favourite players. But I'd have to sit and honestly say we don't miss Anthony Martial. How can we miss something we've never had? Like, it's a speculative miss. It's like shooting from 40 yards out and saying, I'm going to hit the top corner. You don't know you're going to hit the top corner. If you do, it's a bloody good goal, but the chances are you're not. So anybody says that we're missing Martial, and I'm a fan of Martial, how can we miss something that most people wanted to sell, that's not played well in the United shirt for about 18 months, and is injury prone? How can you miss that? How can you miss a player that's been out of form for 18 months and is injury prone? We're guessing that Ten Hag was going to turn him back into the player he was years ago. But he can't stay fit to do it. So you can't miss something. Ian McCormack says we do miss him. How do we miss him, Ian? I've just explained to you, how can you miss a player that's never fit and hasn't played well for 18 months? How can you miss him? I sort of know what you mean. We miss the option, but you don't know what you miss. How can you miss something that you don't know what it is? The whole point of missing something is something that actually delivers something. You know, if I miss my delivery tomorrow of my bloody PS5 game because it's with the neighbour, I miss it because, you know, I want to play it. But Martial, I can't even play it. He's not fit. How can I miss something that can't play? How can I miss something that's not, you know, that's just not there? We don't miss something because he's never bloody fit. You know, but look, as I say, if you shoot from 40 yards, it might go in the top corner. If we could get Martial fit for longer than 5 minutes, maybe he would be our top scorer. Maybe he would be our best player. Maybe we would start playing like we did in pre-season. But you know, it's all if, buts, and maybes. And I think the biggest problem in the world is, and thankfully, it's not happened with Varane this year, because I thought it. You know, I'm a big fan of Martial. I'm a big fan of Varane, and I feared that we were going to end up with the same thing, where you've got this brilliant centre back who just can't stay fit. Fortunately, Varane has stayed fit this season, and if Martial could stay fit, then maybe we've got this player that's massively important. But he just can't stay fit. And you know what? I don't really want to say it, but I may as well. It's shocking. It's really shocking that he's been given a chance. It's not shocking he's been given a chance. It's shocking that Anthony Martial has been given this renaissance under Erik ten Hag. This is his big season to prove himself, and he's been fit for 1 game out of 10. It's just... It says exactly what it says on the tin. You can't rely on Anthony Martial until he proves that you can. Do you really think we're going to be able to rely on him? I mean, what's this injury he's got now? The first injury, I think, was... Well, I don't know what it was. I know he's had an Achilles injury. He had a knee injury, and now he's got a hip injury. So it's 3 different injuries. The poor lad's injury prone, isn't he? Raja, welcome to the Members Club. Anyway, get your questions in. A bit off topic, but how comfortable is your chair? Thinking of getting a secret lab for myself, says Rickon. Very, very comfortable, actually. You know, you can move around in it, back and forth. It's good. I like it, yeah. More of a threat with him in the team. Opposing defenders fear is more with him in the team, says Byron. But that's complete bollocks, mate. Absolute bollocks. I'm sorry. You know, I love the fact that you're getting involved in the chat. I really do. But we're more of a threat with Anthony Martial in the team. How the fuck have you figured that one out? I'm so, but how are we more of a threat? He's not even been fit, mate. You're making it up as you go along. He didn't play at all for us hardly last season, and he's hardly played for us this season. How are we more of a threat with a player that's not played for us for basically 18 months? How are we more of a threat? I know what you mean, Byron. I do know what you mean. You think we're more of a threat with Anthony Martial because you think Martial's a really good player and you think we'll be a better team within him. Yeah, I get that. But you can't say we are. You've got to deliver. Doesn't matter how good you think a player is. You can't say we're more of a threat with them in the team when they're not in the team because they can't get fit. You know, I've always said this. If you offered me up, if you came to me as and I was a manager of a team and I went and somebody said to me, you can have Lionel Messi, but he'll only be fit for 4 out of every 40% of your games. Or you can have James Maddison, who'll be fit for 95% of the games. You know who I'm going to pick? James Maddison. Now people go, oh, what? What are you on about? I'd rather have James Maddison, who can play 95% of my games, than Lionel Messi, who's only going to play 40%. And you know why? Because 60% of my games, Messi's not fit. He's not there. So you've got to get people on the pitch. I don't want players at this club who are good players who can't stay fit. Andrew Fletcher, thank you and welcome to the Members Club. And it's Lath as well. What striker do you think we should be getting in January, says Sulai? I think the most obvious striker for me is Gakpo. I said it yesterday, didn't I? I think that Gakpo's available in January for 35 million quid. Well, he ticks 2 big boxes. 1, it's January. 2, it's 35 million quid. But of course, we're owned by Prats, who are, for some reason, saying we don't want to buy in January, we want to buy in the winter, we want to buy in the summer. So instead of buying Gakpo in January for 35 million, we're going to bid for people like Liao and Osman in the summer for 100 million. It makes no sense. And also, let's not forget Ten Hag likes Gakpo, and Gakpo can play in a couple of positions as well. So I would go for Gakpo. I think that's the player to go for. But whether we do or we don't, I don't know. Look, I don't wish injury on any player. What I want to see is Anthony Martial get recovered from this hip injury and then stay fit for the rest of the season. And be an important player for us. I don't think that's going to happen. I think if he gets fit from this, he'll be injured again. I think Martial will be injured again within 2 weeks of the next time he gets fitness. That's how low my confidence is in Anthony Martial's fitness. I think he's just going to keep getting injured and injured and injured. And I suppose if he does, then maybe that forces Manchester United to make a signing. Evil One says, Martial is a complete striker, which is what we desperately need. Rashford only offers pace, and Ronaldo isn't the Ronaldo from the past. You've just contradicted yourself. Ronaldo isn't the striker he was. Martial's the most complete striker we've got. Complete in a broken way. He's injured, mate. How can you be the most complete striker? You are speculating. And I don't know why people can't screw their head on with this. I like Martial, and I want him to be our player. But I am not going to sit there and say he's the most complete striker we've got when he's broken. How can he be the most complete striker we've got when he's not fit? He's never fucking fit, so how can he be complete? And when's he proven he's the most complete striker that we've got? When he was on loan at Sevilla, injured, never playing. When he was at the club before Christmas, never playing. This season when he's injured, when is he proven to you that he's the most complete striker that we've got? Or are you just talking out your arse? Because it's just complete and utter speculation. He's got to get fit and he's got to play every week. And then you can talk about him being the most complete striker that we've got. Where I would agree with you about Martial, because I'm a big fan of Martial, is I think Martial's the striker with the most potential we've got. But I can't go beyond potential. Martial's got the most potential to be our best striker. But he's not the most complete because he's not fit. The best striker we've got is Cristiano Ronaldo. Marcus Rashford's not a striker. Anthony Martial's never fit. Therefore, Ronaldo's our best striker because there is no other option. For me, the wingers need to hold the width with underlapping fullbacks and cams. Erik Ten Hag wants that, and it's what City do, says Daniel Kirk. Why don't we try putting Eriksen and putting Bruno on the bench? Don't you think we'd be better for it? Says Nick. We don't dodge the questions here. We've just been talking about Martial. I did my combined 11 for Spurs and Manchester United last night, and many Spurs fans and many Man United fans have had a problem with it today because we put the graphic up on the United Stand Twitter. So my combined 11 of Spurs, whatever, you can check it out. But my midfield was Casemiro, Bissouma and Eriksen. To which I had people saying, why aren't you picking Højbjerg? Why aren't you picking Bruno? Because it's my combined 11. No, you're wrong. How can I be wrong when it's my combined 11? I could put Doherty up front if I want to. I can put Emerson Royale in goal if I want. It's still my combined 11. I can't be wrong with my combined 11. You can think yours is better, but I can't be wrong with my combined 11. And the reason I did that is because I think Eriksen is a better number 10 than Bruno, and Spurs don't have one. I don't think Ten Hag's going to do it, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it because the big argument for me is if you put Eriksen where Bruno is, who's going to be the player that feeds the Eriksen? At least when Eriksen's in the team, you've got a player that can feed it from deep to Bruno. So, Eriksen might not work as a number 10, but I'd like to see it happen because Eriksen's more controlled in what he does. He's not as panicky as Bruno is. Bruno's always looking for the killer pass wherever he is on the pitch, whereas I think Eriksen's a little bit more, has a look, surveys the scene. I mean, Eriksen can hit a long pass, but he's more measured and controlled. So I would like to see Eriksen play as a 10. And maybe if Donny van de Beek gets fit again, maybe we will get to see that. I mean, Donny van de Beek's running out of time, but he could have been, if Donny van de Beek had been fit for the last month, I think we'd have seen Eriksen play at 10 and Donny play more in the Eriksen role with Casemiro sitting. But I don't know whether that's going to happen now. But I can see why people would like to see Eriksen play as a 10. And look, I like Bruno. I think Bruno's a really important player for us. But I also would argue with anybody that he's not been very good for 6 months. And therefore, he probably should spend... If Harry Maguire can spend time on the bench, and Luke Shaw can spend time on the bench, and Cristiano Ronaldo can, and Jadon Sancho can, why the hell can't Bruno be on the bench? That's my argument. It's no agenda. If Harry Maguire needs to be dropped, and Luke Shaw needs to be dropped, and Rashford and Sancho and Ronaldo need to spend time on the bench, why is Bruno not open to that? So the only reason I think he isn't at the moment is because we don't have an alternative. I think when we've got an alternative, I'd like to see Eriksen try there. Ronaldo told Erik ten Hag and Rangnick all these players' problems. Do we know what Van der Beek injury is? Mental health, maybe, says Raja. Murta and Fletcher need to be held to account, says Raja there. People are grasping for some miraculous fix in the hope it's fixable so easily, says Days. Well, I agree with you there. I think we're all looking for that. I think when people say that Martial's the solution, that's because they're looking for a solution that fixes things straight away. You know, I'm sure when Brandon Williams gets back fit and comes on and plays well, you know, for 20 minutes, people will say he's the solution at right back. You know, that's human nature to hope that the solution to your problems is right in front of you. It's like, yeah, Ten Hag bought 4 or 5 players in the summer, but some people thought we were going to get top 4. We're not going to get top 4, in my opinion, because we've still got so many of the problems from last year. I think that the next 2 games are going to be quite an eye opener, and I'm fingers crossed hoping that we're going to win both. But I think that I said it before the Newcastle game. We need to take 7 points from Newcastle, Spurs, and Chelsea. Or to do that, we've now got to beat Spurs and Chelsea, and I just don't think we will. I'm hopeful we'll take 5 now. I think we'll beat Spurs, and I think we could get a draw at Chelsea. But I might be stretching there because if I'm being honest, I think we're going to beat Spurs and lose to Chelsea. So it'd be 4 from 9, which isn't great, but it's going to be a really big test. The one thing that makes me feel confident, and I said it last night, is that I do believe that we've got a good defence. And whenever anybody says, oh, we're going to get beat, we're going to get beat. Well, to get beat, they've got to score against our defence, and our defence is good. So I think that provides us with a platform, to be honest. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, of course. I'd like to try Bruno as a number 8, says Peter Nielsen. And United need to be organised at the back. I would like to see Dalot do better against Son. He's not great defending. I tell you what, the world of football, it'll be very interesting tomorrow to see Son up against Dalot, won't it? Yeah, we can't afford to get smashed again, says Avery. Scotty over Fred, any day of the week, says Fennick. Well, I'm hoping tomorrow night we'll see Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno as the midfield 3, because I think that's the best midfield 3 that we've got. John says we'll beat Chelsea. Tough place to go. Tough place to go to Chelsea for us, traditionally. Yeah, but who knows? Chelsea, I mean, look, Chelsea and Spurs aren't fantastic. We could win both games. I would never write United off because, you know, even under Ollie, we'd write ourselves off and then find a way of winning. We've got a good defence. Martial and Rashford equal 391 games. Martial and Rashford equal 391 games, 120 goals. Ronaldo, 234 games, 103 goals. These two aren't young or full of potential. They're washed. 8 years in the Premier League, says Ubdav. And Erik ten Hag fixed the defence. At least we can now debate whether our lacking in goals is a problem in midfield or striker, which we couldn't in the past season, says Mania. Well, you know what? There's an intelligent point there, because if you think about it like this, Ten Hag has fixed the defence, but by fixing the defence, has he, you know, impacted the attack? What I'm trying to say is, if you look at United against Brentford, we had 67% possession and we lost 4-0. We tried to attack and we lost 4-0. And if you look at us against Newcastle, we kept the clean sheet, but we couldn't find the clear-cut chance, apart from the chance for Rashford at the end. So what I'm trying to say is it's a balancing act. I think we came into the season too open and we conceded too many goals. We've now gone quite defensive, but we're not creating as many chances as we would like to. And I think was something Ten Hag had to do, and I admired it and I praised it after the Brentford game. He went and found the way to win games by grinding them out. But can he get that balance of having a good defence and creating chances? And it's funny, I can't remember who said it. But somebody said this, and maybe some of you will know. I don't think it was an ex-player. It might have been a Twitter account, one of these expert Twitter accounts. But it was somebody said it anyway, and they said that Varane and Martinez, one of them needs to take control of the back line and move it higher up the pitch, because the gap between the back line and the front foot line is massive. So the back line needs to press up higher. And they're right. I've spoken about this a few times on watch-alongs. I've noticed there's a huge gap between our back four and our front four. And it is a massive gap. But that's by design. Varane and Martinez can't push that defensive lineup. They can't. Because if Erik Ten Hag wanted it to be pushed up, he'd stand on the touchline and tell him to push it up. We're not playing this deeper line because we've got David De Gea in goal. And we're not playing a deeper line because we've got Varane and Martinez not wanting to play a higher line. We're doing it because Ten Hag doesn't want to push up too high. We need to strike a balance, and I think that's what he's trying to do. All we do is keep possession outside of the 18 box. We don't cross or do through balls. We need another 10 who doubles as a 9, says Tom. I was thinking about this the other day. We've got Ronaldo who's 37. We've got Rashford who's not a striker. And we've got Martial who's made of glass. And people start going, oh, I'd like to sign Osimhen, or I'd like to sign Leao, or I'd like to sign Gakpo. I actually think that previous chat makes a lot of sense. I'd like to sign João Felix. And I'd like to play João Felix as the striker, because he's not terrible in the air. It's not really what he's all about. I mean, he scored a bloody header against Maguire last year, didn't he, in the Champions League? But João Felix would be a very good player to play as a 9, because he's actually creative. Be like a false 9 as well. Maybe we need to look at something like that. People get lost on the fact that we need an out-and-out number 9. If you look at the way that Ten Hag has played football at Ajax, he doesn't always play with a number 9. So Ehab says, either we stick with them or unite against the ownership who turns this football club into a cash cow. We need a more intricate number 10, says Mr. Dark, and that's because of Bruno and ridiculously idiotic 4-2-3-1 formation, which is out of date, says Carol. And our fullbacks are inverted and our wingers are inside forwards. We are not creating anything from wide areas, says Iris. And Mark, I've been saying this for ages, when we are going to use our academy graduates like Zidane Iqbal or Garnacho, says Ahmed. Well, you know what, I do defend Ten Hag on this. I think at the weekend at home to Newcastle, to make one substitute was shocking, because it just made Newcastle's job so easy in the last 20 minutes that we didn't try anything new. But we have seen Garnacho on the bench, we have seen Iqbal on the bench, and we've seen other young players on the bench. We even see Palestri on the bench, and he doesn't get used. And the question has to be, why have all these players on the bench and then don't use them off the bench? But I also would concede that when have we been in a position comfortable in any game? In Cyprus, we weren't comfortable. At home against Ammonia FC, we weren't comfortable. We weren't comfortable away at Goodison Park. We weren't comfortable on Sunday. We weren't comfortable away to Leicester. We weren't comfortable away to Southampton. We weren't comfortable at home to Liverpool or Arsenal. And we certainly weren't comfortable against Man City, Brighton or Brentford. So we haven't had a game this season where we've been comfortable with 20 minutes to go and Ten Hag can look behind him and say, Garnacho, just go and express yourself, enjoy it. You know, same for Zidane Iqbal or Palestri. We can't get these players on the pitch to develop them because our first team is so bad at putting games to bed. So he's in a double-edged sword situation here, Ten Hag, because he's got young players that he wants to develop and grow, but he can't grow them because the situation is not there for them to come on and play without fear and learn. I trust Erik Ten Hag to find the right balance. He's great, says Rory. Good. And it's going to be another 5 years before there's an academy superstar, says going to be another. ZK. And Abhishek says, why is Sancho a winger? He cannot cross, he doesn't score goals, he doesn't assist, he doesn't dribble past players, he just passes back to the midfield. I think it's fashionable to scrutinise, criticise Jadon Sancho at the moment. I like Jadon Sancho. My personal feeling is that we don't play the right style of football for Jadon Sancho. I think Jadon Sancho suits a team like Man City, where you have lots and lots of possession and you surround him with people who know how to play football. And what I mean by that is his intricate little one-touch passing and movement. I think Sancho is a street footballer. I think Jadon Sancho is a player that plays in tight spaces. He's not a sprint. He's not a speed merchant. He's not really a shooter from distance. He's the complete opposite of Marcus Rashford. Let's be honest. But I do believe there's a player with Sancho. I just don't think we play to his strengths. I don't have a problem with people critiquing him. I mean, look, he can't get in the England squad. We paid £74 million for an England winger who can't get in the England squad. You've got to ask why that is. Is it because Southgate's competent, or is it incompetent, or is it because there are better options? I think it's a bit of both. But Jadon Sancho needs to find what this Manchester United side needs to find: consistency. That's something I would agree with people when they criticise Sancho, is that he's not consistent. And nobody is in that team, let's be honest. So I think Sancho suffers from inconsistency. But as I say, I think if we're going to win these next two games, we have to play well. I think these next two games are absolutely pivotal for Manchester United. If we were to take 1 point from the next 6, draw one, lose one, that'd be 2 points from 9. We're in a bad position. We've got to find the way to win these next 2 games, and then it will alleviate the pressure on the manager and on the players for us to hopefully build towards the World Cup, and then come back from the World Cup break and hopefully get a couple of players in January. That's the best case scenario. Mark, why can't we hear what a ref says during a game like rugby, says Vindaloo? Then we can have better insight what these silly refs base their decisions on. Well, you're talking too much sense there. Of course you are. I mean, I don't know. If I was a referee and I made a decision that I knew was controversial. So if I'm Craig Pawson at the weekend and I've not given the penalty against Callum Wilson, against Jadon Sancho and against Cristiano Ronaldo, and the goal, those 4 incidents are big talking points. And I know, as a fan, they're big talking points. So Craig Pawson, as a referee, knows they're big talking points. And if they're big talking points, he made the decision on them. So he knows why he did what he did. Why would I, if I was Craig Pawson, if somebody said to me, do you want to do an interview and tell us why you made those decisions? If I know why I made them, yes, I do. Because I'd rather come out and say why I made them than say nothing and just get ridiculed again. I think they're overprotected. They're overprotected. Why would a referee not want to come out and say that's why they made that decision? Now, some people might say, well, it's because they don't want to say they made a mistake. But they didn't make a mistake. They made the decision on the pitch and VAR backed them up. So they haven't made a mistake because VAR has looked at it and gone, you're right. So I want to know why Craig Pawson didn't give the foul against Jadon Sancho and Cristiano Ronaldo. I want him to say publicly, I didn't think there was any contact. I thought they dived. But he won't do that because he knows he's got it wrong. And that's why they won't do it. They won't come out because they know they've got it wrong, basically. As Iris says, it brings more scrutiny and the FA isn't ready for that. It's what referees and the FA are like politicians. They won't give you a straight answer. They just wait for it to go away. And it doesn't go away because next weekend there'll be something else. Play Sancho where Bruno plays and witness the magic unfold. Well, I wouldn't be opposed to trying Jadon Sancho as a number 10. Apart from this, what people don't remember or what people don't acknowledge, which they should. If I said to you, do you think Jadon Sancho would be a good number 10? You'd probably answer it like I would. And say, you know what, Jadon Sancho receiving the ball centrally, little intricate pass and move, he'd be a very good number 10. But what nobody does say, and what is very worth waking, would Jadon Sancho run round as much as Bruno Fernandes? No, I don't think he does. I don't think Sancho does track back and work hard. And that was only 2 weeks ago in Cyprus, where he played a bad pass, put his head down and let everyone run past him. That would be my problem with Jadon Sancho. I think he's more than good enough as a player to play as a number 10, but has he got the work ethic to play as a number 10? Because as a number 10, you're a midfielder. And as a midfielder, you're back and forth, you're back and forth, you're back and forth. And that's why I don't think Ten Hag would try him there, in my humble opinion. We're not going to win tomorrow, says Matthew. I do. I've gone 1-0. I think we will win tomorrow. It could be a draw. It could be a Spurs 1-0. But I think it's going to be really tight. Both very defensive sides. Both counter-attacking sides. And I can see it being really tight. Yeah. Game starts tomorrow. Is it 8:15? Smutty says, I think it's a 8:15 kickoff tomorrow. I don't know. But, Ihab says there, would you rest any players tomorrow? Well, why would you rest players? I suppose, if anything, if I'm the manager of Man United tomorrow, which game have I got the best chance of getting 3 points from? Spurs, because it's at home. So I'm going strong against Spurs, see what I've got left for Chelsea. I'm not going to rest players for Chelsea when Spurs is the more likely game that you're going to win. So, yeah. But look, Spurs don't score loads of goals. We don't score loads of goals. We've both got good defences. I think it's destined to be tight, and I would go with a Man United 1-0. Chelsea, on the other hand, God knows. I mean, that's the sort of game you could get beat 4-0. It's the sort of game you could go and win 2-0. We should play Sancho as a false 9. He did it at Dortmund when Haaland was out, says Tumbleweed. Well, we'll see. There are options, but massively frustrating that Martial's out again. Because one thing I think we could all agree with is that we could do with him. Evening Mark, loving the channel at the moment. Any thoughts on potential January signings that you would like? Have a good one. That's from Carl Dawson, who's been a member for 6 months. Thanks to anyone who joins the members club and supports the channel, by the way. Don't forget, if you are a member, you get your little badges next to your name, which change each month. But you also get access to our exclusive extra content. Really interesting video I put up on Saturday. Deep diving Bruno's stats this year, comparable to Odegaard, Maddison and De Bruyne. It's really well worth taking a look. For me, I don't think it's the best signing we could make in January, but the most logical signing, and I've said it before, is Cody Gakpo, because he's available for 35 million quid, and he's a striker, and he's a winger, and he's a player that Ten Hag wants. So I think that's the most logical player, and he's got a massive amount of potential as well. So that's the player I would do. If I was honest, that's the player I would go for. And I still do think United will buy a player in January. I know they're saying that they're not going to, but I still think that they will. We'll have to wait and see, though, I suppose. We need to play more down the middle, says Ace Ventura. We are predictable. Ronaldo didn't score his headers because Madrid were constantly crossing. And Leao is a hell of a player, hoping we sign him at some point. Leao and Osimhen are going to cost you over 100 million quid. That's the problem. Yeah, what's the options? At the end of the day, the market's out of control, isn't it? Right, anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I, like many of you, really am enjoying the 8 o'clock shows at the moment, so I hope you've enjoyed it again. Don't forget, there is an 8 o'clock show tomorrow, but it's a watch-along, so make sure you tune in for that. And, yeah, take care, stay safe, whatever you're doing.